extensions. Mr. Merlo, can we hear from you regarding the refloridation process?
Yes, Chairman. Again, Pete Merlo, Principal Engineer, Secretary to the Buffalo Water Board. We are currently feeding fluoride right now, and we are at our target concentration of 0.4 parts per million. That has been observed to have been properly distributed throughout the distribution system. That actually happened within 2 days. Probably within a day, we saw fluoride in South Buffalo. And then you probably give you another day to really get it through the remainder of that network. So it confirmed one thing for us is that our large mains are working properly. In order for that particular for flight to make it through from the start to the finish, it had, and the way it did, it really had to move through the system rapidly. And that's what those large mains do. We have loops in the system that provide water to other areas of the city faster than through the network. Then it gets into local grids. So that just kind of confirmed that. And so far, so good. So we hit our target, and we are currently operating based on total flow. We're not, and then having a target based on that on a mass balance. So we're still finalizing our flow meter. Some of the issues with that is very sensitive piece of equipment. It's a low voltage. We're looking for some straight current. We're making sure that it's calibrated properly because it's really trying to monitor the flow on a 90-inch underground concrete conduit circular. It's just challenging. It's not something that's typical in the industry. So we're finalizing that. The good thing is we're feeding, and the way we're feeding, and we're nailing the dose. So far, so good. We're humming.
Can you talk more about, I know the board had approved some of the analysis for getting kind of additives out into our system and the speed and how that's done? I know we did some additional dollars. How's that project coming?
Yeah, in fact, we were just talking about that. What we've seen is the fluoride was distributed very quickly throughout our distribution system. In other words, we definitely saw a lag in it in terms of the outer parts of our system, especially in South Buffalo. Our South Buffalo tip is the furthest geographically. If you look at it, it's kind of separated from the network. It's not, though it's still connected very well. So that's where you think you'd see it the last. And that is where we saw it the last, but we saw it much quicker down there than we anticipated.
Well,
So
how do you know that? How do you know that?
Well, as part of the study and the additional funds that the board approved, we worked with our consultant. And what we did is assembled a team of individuals to go out and take samples in the distribution system at different time intervals. So once you have a concentration and a timestamp, you can then do a profile over time to see those concentrations increase. Some of those locations you saw it go from our background of maybe 0.1 or 0.2 to 0.3. And then when it hit that 0.4, that's when you see it stabilize. It stabilized first in the outer area, right around Colonel Ward, West Side, downtown, and then last was in South Buffalo. But again, that was almost 24 hours after we started feeding. Much quicker. I anticipated, and we tried to plan for 3 or 4 days, thinking to make sure if there was a longer window, let's capture that time. Because getting a sample and a timestamp is the key. Because once you have those two, you can model that.
Yeah, I mean, I know you talked about
and location, obviously.
Yeah, I know you talked about this being like a unique opportunity to do something like that. So that's why we really want to hear from to the board.
Now we're going to have a report that's going to show that, I believe, try to represent that graphically, so you can see that, say color-wise, how color changes, and you can see how it's spread over time. And they're going to write the report. So that's forthcoming still. That's the deliverables part of that. But this is basically the emails. It was all kind of just good news.
David?
And furthermore, Peter intends to take this information, we'll superimpose it on top of the hydraulic model that we have in place, and then we may get a better calibration on our hydraulic models as far as time of travel.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's going to be important, especially when we talk about chlorine gas to sodium hypo as well. So it'll be great. All right, that's excellent work. It's good to hear. It's good to hear that our system has a lot faster turnover than even we thought. So that's great.
And board, it's a testament to not only your resources that we've allocated. We had an aggressive large main rehabilitation program. We also, Mike Willis and his crews, they know how to take care and what we can do in-house. So the combination of maximize their internal resources plus capital really has allowed us to get our large mains and our loops in probably the best condition in my career.
Excellent. That is really good news. Anything else, board? All right, thank you guys very much for that report. We'll move on now to item number 5, Colonel Ward's electric time extension. Mr. Merlo.
Peter Merlo, Secretary to the Board, Principal Engineer. The Carnival Ward Electric Project is just updating the electrical components and connections here that really have been updated as part of other upgrades. It's really to make sure we remove any limiting factors electrically here before the MassDOT rehabilitation project comes, because that project is going to have reduced pumping capacity. So we may not be able to serve the entire system from just MassDOT. So during that project, this facility needs to be, it has backup power, it needs to be going. This made sure electrically, we've already done a lot of work mechanically to our pumps. Our pumps are in excellent condition, motors have been rehabilitated. Mike Carson really monitors those and maximizes, again, the capital, what we can do in-house with our limited accounts and with our existing funds. So really, this is just finalizing that project. We're looking for additional time. Each pump needs to run for 1 month, and then that needs to be accepted, and then improvements can be made. The final improvements can be made to the next pump, and that has to be tested for a month. So this testing period kind of came into vision and finalized. So we thought it would probably maybe could be a couple weeks earlier. We all decided we made this investment. Let's make sure they're good. So this allows for a 3-month testing period, allows for the final work to be completed. And again, I think we're looking to take it to April 30th is the date. I didn't bring my paperwork with me.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's when we're looking to extend this contract to for final completion.
And I know we kind of, we're using like our subcontractor, ESSI. We kind of reprioritize for them in working on our fluoride restoration.
Oh, definitely. In fact, we're able to, because of our ability to utilize limits contractors to do this, we're able to use and employ Quackenbush, so they can go ahead, order those materials, which was key. Getting materials ordered on this as early as soon as we got health department approval in January, really facilitated this happening. And then obviously the labor and the electrical piece and ESSI has been great. Working with Mike Carson, kind of doing the final touches control wise. So it's been excellent, a good partnership on this.
Good stuff. All right, board, is there a motion to approve a contract extension recommended by GHD and confirmed by our principal engineer, Mr. Merlo, for Fry to the date of April 30th, 2025?
Sunderland, so moved.
Osworthy, seconded.
Is the motion properly seconded? Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Sunderland, aye.
Osworthy, aye.
Kelly, aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We will now move on to item number 6, Colonel Ward Electrical CARI. Mr. Merlo.
Yes, Peter Merlo, Secretary to the Board, Principal Engineer, Division of Water. This is to increase the resident inspection time for GHD to really get this work done into the spring. Dustin is going to be the individual in the field, and there's really a gap right now. Originally, the hypo project, if that was under construction, we'd be rolling his time right to that one, and he'd be able to kind of finish both projects on site. But the hypo is not going to come till probably spring by the time that constructs. So we need time, and we just approved an increase to get him to the burn project to the end of the year. So right now, there's a gap between the end of the year, spring. That's what this is for. It's $90,000. Again, only billed as needed. If we can minimize this, great. But this will allow us to make sure that project properly covered. And item 7 is another item we'll approve those or ask for approval separately, is the budget amendment required again to fund this with existing bond funds, just moving money around. We've delivered a capital program. We've nailed it. We have another 70 million coming, and this is just finalizing those dollars to maximize it and get in the right asset category. And I've been working with Bill Ferguson.
Yeah, Bill
Sorry.
Ferguson, to move it around. I got you.
I was moving quick for a while.
You were, you nailed it, brother. You got it.
Hiccups, you know.
All right. Thank you very much, Peter. Okay, board, is there a motion to approve a change order in the amount of $90,000 for our contractor, or excuse me, our consultant GHD for this effort for resident inspection services for the electrical improvements. And this is a not to exceed dollar value.
Yes.
Sunderland, so moved.
Osworthy, seconded.
The motion properly seconded. Any further questions on this? Hearing done. All in favor?
Sunderland, aye.
Osworthy, aye.
Kelly, aye.
Unanimous. All right, we'll now move on to item number 7, which is a budget amendment that Mr. Merlo just spoke about. Again, this is reallocation of funds, 90,000 taken from this account.
And the difference of these accounts, as you can see, the first 4 means it's the same bond series. That's when they were sold. So we want to keep the money under the same series. But the first one that the money's coming from is the asset category for our distribution work, which is where actually we're getting some funds back on some projects. And then we're reallocating that to the current award asset category.
All right, so is there a motion to approve? Nosworthy, it's yours.
Yep, Nosworthy, yep.
It's been motioned. Is there a second?
Sunderland, second.
Is there a motion and properly seconded? Any further questions? All in favor?
Nosworthy, aye.
Sunderland, aye.
Kelly, I.
Unanimous.
You're up now.
All right. Before we move on to item number 8, which will be our reports from our consultant team at GHD, I wanted to speak on, yesterday I was invited to speak to the Common Council, and it was a great discussion with the Common Council members there. It was the Finance Committee chair as well as the committee members, and discussions really centered around, kind of the work that we're doing here and ensuring that we are making sure to keep the water board and our assets up to snuff, and that it costs a significant amount of money, not only in the short term, but also projecting out in the long term. As board, as you know, we have a $60 million budget and a $300 million 5-year capital program. And so it's imperative for us to continue to make those hard decisions. So the discussion's kind of centered around that. And that, I also wanted to make sure that we hit the ground and hit it out of park on engagement. And so some things that I spoke to the council about was really our Get Water Wise effort and the effort that we're doing from a social media standpoint, the billboards that we have around town, the bill stuffers, the individual mailings, our website, all of the things that we're doing in that space. One of the things I forgot to kind of really speak to the council on was our efforts in making sure that we're continuing to be visible, being at parades, having the tents set up at all of the festivals that we've been doing over the past year, and how important that is so that people understand the value of our water system and the value that having a water system that is top notch, producing safe and high quality water brings to a city like Buffalo. I also touched on some things where there are other communities that are having public health issues and because they didn't put forth that investment. And so working with the administration as well, we have done an excellent job, and I just wanted to thank you guys, but I wanted to make sure that you knew it was in front of council. They invited us to speak, and I think they were very receptive to many of the things that we have going on. And what they asked for is, how can we continue to engage with them more? And so that's something that we have to make sure we keep our eyes on. And when we talk about engaging not only with the council, but engaging with their constituents, engaging with the residents. And so, we talked about all of the different programs that we have, our residential affordable water program, how many folks we have enrolled in that, which is over 6,000 of our customers. We talked about, not only our low income, very low income, our seniors and senior low. We also talked about Promise Pay that's available to all, and without income restrictions. And so those are some of the things that it was good. It was about half hour that I was in the seat there in front of the finance committee. But I think it was really good for us to go kind of move forward in making sure that they are a partner as we are continuing to not only improve the system that we have here, but manage it appropriately, fund it appropriately, and ensuring that we don't have any public health concerns in the city of Buffalo as it relates to water. So,
Who is their finance committee chair?
it is Nowakowski is the council member Nowakowski, and President we had President Pro Tem Brian Bowman was there. We had the majority leader, of course, Leah Halton Pope was there. We had Councilmember Rivera as well as the council member from the University District. And it was an excellent, worthwhile discussion with them.
And Chairman, just one thing, I'd like to just let everyone know here that We actually tried to engage them and I thought it was very successful. Flood put a lot of time and effort in when we just rolled out and are finishing a $25 million capital program in distribution where you're touching every property, going into homes, replacing services. We did a very intense reach out. We met with the common council offices. We had public hearings or public sessions where they can come meet and ask, and really went out in front of it, and it served us very well.
Yeah.
Because when questions came up, the common council member already knew it was coming. In fact, one of them actually knew and asked questions when some of the first mailings went out and they weren't sure what it was. They said, we don't mail things. So it just, to your point, Chairman, I just want you to say that effort has been really significant, I think, by the board to try to do that.
Yeah, and again, the partnership, they all were like, absolutely send stuff to our office and we'll help distributing it. And so we just need to make sure we're doing that and continue to do that and grow them as a resource and as a partner in making sure that Buffalo has a safe water system. So thank you, guys.
Question?
Yep.
Any particular reason we went from A+ to A?
Jerry, that is an excellent question. And it's one we've been scratching our head. Peter had mentioned the work that we've done in, like, as a whole, repairing, replacing our age system, all of the dollars that we have put in, all the programs that we have for our to make sure that our rates are affordable while we are still investing in ourselves. I'm going to go and say with S&P, we were not the happiest at all. The report that they gave us was all positive, and yet they downgraded us. And so what we're doing as we go into this next session to do bonds is we're going to make sure we get multiple opinions kind of moving forward on our credit worthiness, because we believe that we have done everything that is right to continue our stuff, because we also know that affects the interest rates, directly, and that affects the amount of work that we can do out there, because the amount of work that we can afford. So we have over $180 million in debt, outstanding debt. And so, we know that we have to continue to invest in our system. We're upping our pay as you go, but then we're also looking at the horizon where, 2 weeks ago, the EPA just came out and said, hey, you're going to replace all of your lead service lines within a decade. And so for us, that's $500 million that we have to invest outside and above all of the work that we have to do now to continue to maintain our system. And so we know that our credit worthiness is going to have to be and continue to be top notch. So we have to get that back up there. But we were scratching our head.
They didn't give it any narrative at all.
No, the narrative was all positive, and so we.
Can I jump in, Mr. Chairman? Jerry, initially, we weren't downgraded at all. There was some sort of system error that they had at S&P, and they wanted to relook at it, and we presented our case again, and they came back and said, well, compared to other municipalities, we need to downgrade, with absolutely no explanation, because as I said, the first go around, they hadn't downgraded us at all. And then acknowledging that they had a system glitch and it affected many clients, including Buffalo, they asked us to relook, and we presented, as OJ said, a very positive look and demonstrated the continued investment in the system. So we were really disappointed with the downgrade after that, through no fault of our own. Again, we presented the same case that we presented when we had sold the bonds, and they hadn't downgraded us at that time. So as the chairman said, we plan to get multiple opinions, because we are doing everything we can to continue to invest in the system, to appropriately raise rates, to continue to, again, invest in the system and do the infrastructure improvements. So there's not much more. In my opinion, although I'm not S&P, I just think that maybe another set of eyes, another rating agency would be appropriate this next go around.
Yeah.
Lisa, question. I mean, the city does 3 opinions usually annually, possibly mirroring that with like Fitch and Moody's doing the same thing. Have we always just done S&P historically?
We've usually only had one, right? But I think we need to expand that. for the next bond sale, because again, we were just very disappointed with the initial, we were fine, and then the revision after they admitted that they had a system error, but really couldn't tell us why they dropped us, right? Why they dropped or downgraded us.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would help us if we got the other two.
I think we should, without a question, without a doubt.
and we've talked with the controller's office on that one as well, because they were highly disappointed as well. So moving forward, it does appear that's what we're going to be looking at to do when we go out next year. Any other questions on that? All right. So with that, we'll move into item number 8, our monthly report from GHD. We'll start off with Mr. Walpole.
Thank you, Chairman Stephen Waldvogel, GHD. As usual, quite a lot of activity. I will highlight just a couple things, then turn it over to Dustin. As the chairman mentioned before, the EPA finalized the lead and copper rule improvements within the last 3 weeks. I brought a copy because I'll be meeting with Peter afterwards. It's literally 890 pages long. So we've spent considerable amount of effort to try to kind of read through that, understand what they're really saying. It's not that much different than the draft rule that came out in 21, but there are some changes. Also just consulting with Veolia, because I'm sure Veolia and 120 are doing the same, so that they position you well for full compliance moving forward. Christine also continues to engage our community partners, and we won't give a detailed report on that today, but we will be moving forward giving you detailed reports. Our community partners have impacted or connected with tens, if not hundreds of residents, and but we're still working through the reporting on that. So I don't have any final numbers right now, but by next month, I would hope we can give you final numbers on events and people contacted. Yes.
Who are our community partners?
At the moment, we're working closely with Open Buffalo and the Community Health Center of Buffalo. Okay. Veolia has been extremely supportive as we're trying to link the data systems. We're tying our partners back to the online survey so that these partners can help residents identify unknown services throughout the system, as well as linking up with Promise Pay. So a lot of people are working together to engage the customers, as OJ mentioned before. Christine, if there's anything else you'd like to add, you'd be welcome to, but you don't have to.
Good morning, board. Thank you for the opportunity, Stephen. At this time, I just want to reiterate, we are working heavily with the teams, the community partners. We are scheduled to have face-to-face with them next week. So in that process, we definitely look forward to giving some more great updates. They are really working profusely with our community and engaging them in understanding the lead remediation process and line replacement process as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Christine. Dustin, can you give a brief update on the projects?
Morning, board. Thank you, Stephen. Dustin Steiner, GHD. Quickly, as you can see, board, we're installing the remainder of the fence on our flood mitigation on top of our berm wall on the west side of the filtration plant. We will also be moving into installation of our motorized gates, 3 motorized gates here at the facility. We're also continuing, obviously, on with the electrical program. We had a really good owner training with your new switchgear and other new equipments on site for the electrical. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them. Thank you, board.
All right, thank you, Dustin. Is that it, team? Yeah. All right, thank you very much, Stephen and the GHD team. We appreciate that report. We'll now move on to item number 9, a monthly report from Veolia. Mr. Hill.
Thank you, Chairman. David Hill, Veolia Water. Quick summary of the affordability efforts for September. Buffalo Water has 1,822 enrolled in our RAP program. That's the residential, affordability water program, where our customers that are facing challenges can sign up and get discounts on their bills according to their income level. We've got 4,263 customers enrolled in our 65 plus program. Roll efforts are ongoing. I think we've done 1,700 to date, 26, I believe, in the last month. The East Side program, we did receive 135,000 from the East Side program this month. So we continue to do well in those areas. Revenue as a whole, we collected $4 million for the month. Through the first 3 months, our actuals have come in around 13 million, and we were expecting around 15 million. So and the numbers, indicate the need for the rate increase. Behind the scenes, Mr. Sykes has been working and, getting prepared for the rate increases in that respect. Any questions?
Kind of go to 7, if you could.
Okay.
Perfect. You're good, Jerry.
Okay.
That's what he was talking about there.
Oh,
He just-
yeah.
We're talking about the 13 versus where we should be is roughly around 15 at this point in time. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Yeah, so we're
Couple
below that.
million in 3 months.
And this really speaks to the actions that we had to make happen, because we understand how we're tracking, and we understand the importance of making sure that we are fiscally viable. So,
Okay.
all right, Board, is there any questions?
But what is this 113% of collections? Is that, am I
Where
reading that
you
right?
at, sir?
Looking September 2024.
So for 24, we had a good month.
Oh, I see.
But we've collected more than what we billed out, but I think collectively from July, that's where we're looking at, we're down, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, specific, just some other work going on. I mean, obviously, we've been focusing on fluoride for the last few months here. Hats off to the operation team. We've been taking that slow and diligently, making certain we have all SOPs in place and that the operators have been properly trained. That is going very well. From a laboratory perspective, we've done some contingency planning, because we need to sustain the lab while we have a vacancy for a period. We're working with our operator responsible charge, and collectively we feel we can sustain the operation while the individual is out. And again, we continue to get that chemist position. That'll also help in that area. So Lagoon Improvements project continues. We're still trying to figure out a way to get a pump set, so we don't have to, just to say, manhandle the residuals out of the basins into the lagoon. This would be a more effective and efficient and safe way to do it. Work continues there. Capital project wise, as Dustin indicated, there's a ton of electrical projects going on. A lot of coordination takes place. We're having plant outages regularly. And again, hats off to everybody around here. I say that, but that's a difficult thing to do, to stop water in a treatment process this big, and to start it and to restart it and to maintain compliance. It's a big deal. And we've been doing that. We've had many throughout the last year, and we'll have many more. But I just want to thank everybody for, their coordination specifically when we do that. I won't get into this long list on page 11, but, through our limit accounts, I think we've got 15 to 20 items that we're currently working on. Lastly, working with GHD on some specific projects. We are working together to resolve some deficiencies that the Department of Health noted in the sanitary survey. So we'll work collectively on that to close those items out. I think that concludes my report for the month.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions? Board? Well, thank you very much, David. Much appreciated. All right, at this time, we'll move on to item 10, which will be the board going into executive session to discuss contract matters. After that, we will come out and we will adjourn. So at this time, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. We really appreciate that we can hear from the public, that you can visually see us as well as participate from a hybrid form fashion as well as in person. And so with that, just thank everyone and have a great day.
We need a motion.
Motion to move to executive session.
Sunderland, so moved.
Nosworthy second.
The motion properly seconded. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Sunderland, aye.
Nosworthy, aye.
Kelly, aye.
Unanimous. Thank you very much.
Verify our next meeting.
Next meeting. Thank you, Jack. We are going. I have November 7th, Thursday, 9 a.m.
That's correct. What I heard. Everybody
All right.
good?
Sounds like we're good, sir.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Have a great one.
You too. Take care.
Bye.